Good morning again. I'm back for another video this morning, full of it this morning, as it were. And we're going to switch it up. I'm going to go right to the center of the problem as I see it. One time, I'm going to explain the thought process that led to my current set of parameters and how I live life. One time, I'm going to talk about the Bible specifically. And at this point, because this isn't my first video, it says number 50, this is going to be 56? 55? No, 56 for sure. There's a lot of explanation on the idea of free will. And I don't think one can believe in the free will without believing in God. Just think of free will as God. Unlimited options based on perception. So, I'm going to tell you my philosophy on religion. But to do so, you have to understand that my version of religion is to be alive. And if you can grasp the fact that the second you're born, right then, it's a religious thing. That's the only form of religion that I look at. I'm alive. I'm experiencing. That's a religion. That is the religion. I think, therefore I am. That's the religion. I exist. And as I exist and as I experience and as I make memories, the experience itself is my religion. Knowledge is my religion. I don't pray for understanding. I seek understanding for prayer. It goes both ways. It's the duality of everything that exists in the world. And I'll tell you where I learned it from. You're going to love this. I've studied most of the great philosophers of all recorded history, period. I may not remember all of them by name, but I guarantee you I can at least remember one section of whatever they taught. I promise. I love ancient history and I love the philosophers of that time, and I've tried to get into other cultures. Japanese culture has some of the craziest fucking... The Art of War is a philosophy. And if you can understand how many great philosophers there are, to hell with just English-speaking people, or Egyptian, or Greek, or everybody's had some crazy deep thinkers. But only one religion that we currently digest as information is about Jesus Christ. And we're going to get right into it right now. Get ready. And I'm really glad you're here with me, because that means that you watched all the other videos already. And even if you completely disagreed with me, we're still friends. You understand the intent. It's to think. It's not to tell somebody else they're less than or take away from. It's just, what do you think about that? So in studying philosophy, which I did go to college for, I did go to college for that, but only for a year, because I just wanted to learn. Not because I needed a degree in anything. I didn't go for the degree. I went because it interested me and I wanted to go, and they'd give me free student loans if I went. You know the scam. I got in on that. You know, I made my 10 grand off of free student loans that I've never paid back. I'm a piece of shit. But I actually went to college and I got straight A's, but that's neither here nor there. The thing is Jesus Christ's words, the way they put them in the Bible. Now, please understand, if you've ever had a chance or you're interested, you feel like challenging your own personal views, read some history books specifically on how the Bible was written. It was the Council of Nicene. It was 112 years after the death of Jesus Christ. and there was a council of like 115 men, 121 men. I can't remember the exact number. That's why I asked you to look it up yourself. And they got together and they put the stories that they had from other people and the testimonies of people before, because you have to understand, it had been an entire person since Jesus Christ was alive and it was being taken seriously. You have to understand the primordial mix of how it was slowly becoming. Okay, you have to follow history. It has nothing to do with whether or not you believe. I'm not, and none of that. So open your ears, because that really happened. So 110 years or so later, they decided to make the first version of the Bible, and there was a king involved. And they'd make the version of the Bible and get all the stories and stuff together, and they'd send it to the king, and the king would, oh, I don't know, I like this, I don't like these things, throw this out, I want you to add these in, and send it back to them. Then they debate and do their thing again. It took like 7.5 years to write the Bible. And it was between this group of wise men, it considered at the time, and a king. Render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. That was directly the king, not God, putting that in there so taxes would always be a thing. This is just the history of what you take as truth. I didn't say it wasn't truth. I didn't say they didn't keep records of the tribes of Judah. I didn't say none of those things. I didn't argue with how you feel and all these. That's not the point of what we're talking about. I just want to explain a little bit of history. So somehow through all this, like 7, maybe it was 9 years even, of them making it, they finally got the first version printed. This is the holy word of God. And then they had their crusades. But the Council of Nicene is where I suspect that there really were some wise men, just because of the interconnections of the Bible, how words tie together. I seen the charts. There was some very intelligent men, and they were philosophers. They had to have been. To even want to write a book to give to the world of this is God and it's going to change the world positively forevermore, there's got to be some really strong conviction behind how they not just felt, but how they thought and the facts that they had and the philosophies that they followed to even be able to grasp the idea of God, right? That's a big one, isn't it? It's a big one. And these men, there's no women, sorry, feminists, I'm on your team, but there was no women, it was men. And they wrote the Bible. Now, the few things that I'd get into and I'd attack. And I don't want you to feel like I'm trying to attack, because I know this is a hard conversation to have because you've never heard the history of your Bible. You've never had it explained to you. And somebody that isn't a minister definitely couldn't understand or could have studied the history of the Bible. There's no way that I could be interested in history and consume it as much as possible, right? Or maybe there is. Maybe I do know exactly what I'm talking about, and by going to a history book, you'll find this. Men wrote the Bible. You get it? Half the world conscious, men and women are the action, reaction. It doesn't matter if women are the action or men are the action. They're the polar opposite. They balance, right? And I'm not talking sexuality. I mean the fucking mindset. Emotion to logic. There's not a single person that can argue with that. I don't care. But the Bible was only written halfway. They didn't let women, 110 women, also sit down and throw their 2 cents into the Bible. That's just truth. That's unbiased fact. There were no women included in writing the word of God, but God made women too, right? So there's the first flaw that I saw. Then I look at it and the commandments that are within it, knowing that men wrote it and not God himself. I didn't get to look at the 10 Commandment stones. Have you seen them? I ain't seen them. Somebody should have seen them. Oh, they got broken, right? Even though God made them, they just broke apart like rocks. So I looked at the Bible and I said, well, Really intelligent men wrote this. It's obvious. It's blatantly obvious. There's a bunch of different patterns that 100% prove that they were able to think long term to the best of their abilities based on their understanding of future looking, which is possible to do. Tomorrow, someone could create wormholes and we could be traveling to alternate galaxies. It could be tomorrow that AI creates that. That's possible. That's really possible in our now, right now. Tomorrow could be the day they open a portal. That's just science. They're working on it. They've been working on it. So, this idea, in any way, shape, or form, that the Bible isn't anything more than parables, and other than direct information like the lines of, it's all parables, right? So, if we take things as parables, here's the key so you can see. If we take everything as parables and not just everything except what Jesus said, then it changes how the book reads. Yes, I've read the Bible more than once. It changes everything about the message. And I'm going to show you how right now. You can't call me somebody with a degree in religious history or a scholar. Well, I guess I can be called a scholar. I think I'm a scholar. But it's neither here nor there. It's not about me. But Jesus said something. And they thought it was important enough to put it in the Bible. And the way that they put it somehow became a literal translation. And by doing so, it was the one lie. See, I don't think the Bible's a lie. I think there's one lie. It's easy to see what's for the pursuit of man and what's for the pursuit of spirit in the Bible. You can see where the king wrote his shit in and where the wise men put their shit in. You can see it. All you have to do is look at it through this lens. Is it a parable or is it a rule? Is it a parable or is it a rule? Do unto others as you would have do unto you. That rule. That's a true rule. That's action reaction. You rob somebody, they're going to want to fuck you up. You do something nice for somebody unexpectedly, you just put a smile on their face. Action reaction. But, oh, I'm going to get hate for this. Jesus said, only by having me in your heart, only then can you go to heaven or be with God. Only then, through me, you pray. Through, okay. Okay. So what if we change that? What if Jesus meant that as a parable? Because the entire thing is clicked on you know, accepting Jesus in your heart and being meek, and you'll inherit the earth. Ooh, that's the lie. Have any of you actually read the story of Jesus at all? I mean, I'm sure you've had it preached to you, but like, have you gone through and read every word about Jesus, which suspiciously doesn't start until he's 33? Before that, weird. But have you ever read the story and the things he said and the things he did? So did the man fucking mean rebel? Did he really say be meek? He said don't worry about it because he knew karma would get fucking everybody that fucked with him. Everybody. It'd be apparent. Just the vibe. Because he had that vibe that he put off that no matter what, it'll be fine. It'll come back around. Don't worry about it. Let's worry about the now. Let's focus on just being good human beings. And that's the part of the story that you always hear about Jesus. What you don't hear about is he go to each and every church he came to in any town and he kicked the motherfuckers out. You're a false fucking prophet. Fuck your golden statues. Fuck your money. Fuck your tables. Fuck your communion. Wait, Jesus was fist fighting? You're fucking right. Jesus was fist fighting. He was fighting because he knew. He knew it was all bullshit. He knew they're all fucking liars. All of them. He fucking knew it. That's part of the lie. Only he could do that. Only he was supposed to act like that because he was the Son of God. It's all part of the lie that I see in the Bible. It has nothing to do with anything else. It's just how you view to be saved that they have lied to you about. This is my opinion. This is my philosophy page. You're welcome to do whatever the fuck you want with it, but check it out. Jesus said, get everybody drunk, make sure everybody's got enough fucking food and water. And anybody that tells you how to pray or how to find a God outside of inside yourself, fuck that person up. And he talked more shit than he hurt people, but I guarantee it literally tells about him kicking over tables. You think they didn't fight him when he kicked over the table? They're just like, oh, you're Jesus. They nailed him to a cross and stuck him with a fucking spear, right? But they didn't whoop his fucking ass and his followers' ass when he went in and kicked the shit out of their fucking church? Yeah, right. It just didn't make it in the Bible. Jesus figured out how everybody get drunk. It's because most people didn't understand how to ferment grapes. They say he did it instantaneously because to tell you that he just fermented grapes and he was a farmer at times, that'd blow your fucking mind. He was only a carpenter. He went and studied in Egypt. All the ancient mysteries from the time before everything got sacked and burned to the ground and it was all destroyed and burnt to the ground. The Great Library of Alexandria. Jesus went there. It's in the fucking histories. See, all they had to do is just burn the knowledge, and then you don't have it, and then there's no getting around it. But the thing is it sure sounds to me like Jesus believed he was God. I mean, if someone nowadays walked around and said, I'm God, you'd lock him in a nut house. Jesus could never exist in the now because a world's been created that if God came back, if Jesus came back and he said, I am Jesus, even if he performed miracles, you guys would call him a witch and you would throw him at the fucking wolves. And then you'd lock him in a nut house. He wouldn't even be able to proclaim that he was God because none of you believe in God anymore. You believe that some outside entity is your only salvation instead of how you act and how you talk and how you treat people. Somehow, out of the philosophy of Jesus, who's a fucking smart dude, or the people that gave him that idea, or the fucking people that created the Bible that said he said it. Whoever the fuck said that, I think they're right. I think you can act like Jesus. I think God rewards you when you act like Jesus. Jesus was not fucking meek. He didn't take no shit. He didn't miss no beats. He told you exactly what fucking time it was. And he was super kind and he used the words of the time. Jesus never talked about robots, did he? Or any of that other shit. What are we supposed to do when there's fucking AI sex bots, Jesus? Does that count anymore as a sin? Think about it. And all these things, all these fucking things that they say Jesus did, he said, you got to be in my heart. We translate heart to mindset and have faith that it's going to work out, and it does. You say, well, Jesus got killed. Yeah, no shit. He's ahead of his time. And yet today, the entire world knows his name. So, not saying he could future trip, but if he could and he could choose between living a long life and doing small miracles that probably nobody'd remember, or if he somehow actually figured it out and was the Son of God, and did some old hokey shit because he was God and pulled some fucking resurrections and some other things and left clues for everybody else to look at. And I never hear anybody talk about Jesus like this, ever. I'd have joined his gang. I'd have made wine and fucking trashed out churches and told all those people they're full of shit. That sounds like fun. Sounds like the kind of human I aspire to be. God's within us. You are God. Get some. And don't be scared. Death isn't the end. See, my philosophy of free will allows me to choose without dogma. And this was the hardest one because I was raised Christian. So I had to go deeper. There was no God in church. Where was God? I was sure that the definition of perfection had existed somewhere. And that's the key. That's how I found it. By studying philosophy and looking at things from different points of view and seeing if I agree or disagree, I found most of the Bible boring. And the philosophies of Mark, Luke, and John, Jesus, I wouldn't have hung out with any of his apostles. He kept bad friends. I don't give a shit. I gotta be honest with you. Because I remember in the Bible it says that he gave them all the power to cast out demons and heal and all that shit, right? So if he gave them those powers, it's what it says in the Bible, right? Your Bible, it says that. Then he had taught them that they are God and that they could do the same miracles that he did because they were also the Son of God. That's how it's supposed to work because that's how Jesus said it worked, right? So what'd they do with their gifts? What'd they do? How come there's not a bunch of noteworthy things other than from their own mouths? Self admiration that made it into the Bible? How come, other than that, they didn't continue the work? If Jesus is to be believed and the Bible is to be believed and his philosophy is to be believed, they finished the course that Jesus was teaching people. And I suspect he got it from the mystics. Because nobody ever talked about God the way that Jesus talked about God until Jesus started talking about God, did they? Nope. It was the old God of vengeance and wrath and fucking chaos. But then they told you to be meek, and they told you that you would inherit the earth someday, and they told you that you should just turn the other cheek like Jesus did. And he didn't do it one fucking day. He didn't give one fucking inch to nobody. Nobody. He was so wilding out, he created a whole group of people wanted to follow him around just to see what fucking antics he'd do next. And then it was cool and it was fun and it was working and people are starting to get fucking serious about it. And they're like, all right, we got to kill him. That's the story of Jesus. And they took that philosophy and they turned it into a religion. And since nobody knew about it and they wanted people to know about it, but everybody already had their own gods and they'd already figured everything out, they decided they would take the idea and the concepts that Jesus Christ himself came to the conclusions on and put forth into the world as his views and his opinion. And they made it about money and servitude. That's the biggest joke I ever heard. They took what Jesus Christ said, be a rebel, and they turned it into servitude. God serves no man. That's it. I have the free will to act however I want. And if I want to act like a rebel, well, according to how I see it, Jesus told me to. And if everything action's a reaction and I treat everybody how I want to be treated, someday all the people around me are going to treat me how I treat them. And until I have people like that, I won't have anybody in my life. And that philosophy transfers somehow. It makes it so easy to flow and see where you need to go with things. It's almost like this self love that you're supposed to have because you're fucking God itself having an experience. That version, that understanding, the actual philosophy of what Jesus said, right in between the lines of the fucking bullshit. Well, I don't know how else to express to you that I don't believe in your Jesus Christ and I don't believe in your God. And that's my opinion on it. That's how I view it. So do I act like Jesus? Fuck if I know. I never met the guy. Did you meet the guy? I don't know. But the philosophy that he spoke on rebelling on bad shit, being willing to stand against it, being willing to gather people and talk to them about it and get ideas flowing and get people thinking outside of the fucking small ass box, I'm about it. Does it make me God? Not in the way that you think God is. I'm having an experience in reality. This one right now, speaking to you. That's what I'm doing. And according to the philosophy of what I've understood, all I have to do is enjoy myself and good things will come. And yeah, you have bad things that come. And so it helps you build the world around you better. I know these things can be bad. So we're going to do this over here. I'm just going to contribute over here and do my part to make sure those kind of things don't happen. And we're doing these things different. And those things are happening different. Like there's a chain reaction. You can't destroy love with love. You can only grow it. Jesus just talks about self love and loving everybody around you. And that's God. You know, to me, that's Jesus. To me, every one of these mega churches, I think Jesus would have become a fucking arsonist. I'm really sure that, like, he'd have burned a bunch of mega churches down and been like an eco terrorist and some other crazy shit. If there was a Jesus now, he'd be doing some fuck shit. He's probably in jail for the rest of his life somewhere locked and none of us know it because he was like, oh, I'm not putting up with this. And he didn't know about the times. And they were just like, oh, you're done. But the second you take it from a person to a mindset and you realize that you have all the power to change everything, to create your own experience, and to help others maintain a better world, period, on every level, that you have that power, that no one can take it from you, that someone else's opinion or respect or lack thereof defines you in any way, shape, or form. If you're like, no, fuck no, we're not doing this shit, and I swear to, as far as I got to go to stop this, and here's an alternative that's 1,000 times better. I don't know how you pray or what you believe in or how you view religion, spirituality, but Jesus' philosophy accepted all of you. There was no Muslims and Christians and fucking Native Americans, Indians, whatever. Everyone's just a person. And so if he said everybody's just a person and I love everybody and he hung out with prostitutes, like this dude loved prostitutes, but he never got laid, right? First 33 years of his life, we have no history, but all of a sudden he showed up and he's just hanging out with vile people and prostitutes, but he never had sex either, right? Having a human experience. You should always take everything you hear with a grain of salt, especially from me. It's just my opinion, just how I feel. I hope I haven't offended you too far. I just wanted you to understand that from a philosophical point of view, Jesus said the more you own, the more you're a fucking bum. And the more you lie, the more you're a piece of shit. And the more you deceive people, the worse you should be treated. And judgment was not his, that was God's. It's almost like he understood quantum physics and how everything must connect together. So if you just continue to do the same action and get the same reaction, then you can predict it. But if you start doing new actions, you can no longer predict the outcome. And then it gets scary. So you have to have what he called faith. Faith that these new ideas, based on your intent, would create the desired outcome. And maybe not the one you thought you wanted, but something that was so crazy, you're like, holy shit. And if you keep doing it, it keeps working and it keeps working. And random synchronicities come into your life. And crazy shit starts happening in your fucking life for the good. Because the second you get back to zero, all those negatives you told yourself you were, when you get back to zero and you love yourself again, then the universe wants to put ones in because you're a positive. You're literally God having an experience, according to Jesus' philosophy. Having him in your heart would have him in your mind. And if he's in your mind, then you too are Jesus. And not in the sense that you fucking are walking on water, in the sense of how you treat, talk, and interact with everything around you. Is it with love? Do you create or do you destroy? I had no problem accepting that philosophy in my life. I found God without religion with it. I don't think I'm Jesus. I think that I'm following a philosophy that was set forth a couple thousand years ago that literally trumps every fuckdick thing that's been created since. That's how I always feel like I'm winning. Even when I don't got nothing, I don't ever feel broke. Material has nothing to do with inner, like, peace. It lets you walk through fucking hell. Just like, smoke a joint, get on with life. It's really that powerful, that mindset, that philosophy. And Jesus didn't teach us, he learned it and gave it to us. And you can say spirit all you want. I've studied the histories. You ain't going to lie to me and tell me something different. I know better. And I don't mean I want to debate and argue with you. If you really want to, we can pull it out, bro. I promise. Oh, if you really want to, I'll go get my notes. Because sometimes I have to write shit down and think about it for a long time before I decide whether or not what I wrote down was real or not. And I've had people treat me fucking terribly for a long time, despite me putting love and goodness and kindness into the world. And yet, I've got received a lot of blessings. Somehow I'm still alive, I promise. That's a weird way to look at it, but somehow I'm still alive. And like, just that in itself is a blessing. And being able to see my kids is a blessing. And like being able to paint and share these videos with you and share my ideas with, it's just a blessing. Like if you look at the world, right? Like pancakes can be a blessing. Just fucking pancakes, man. Not even any syrup, just a little butter. Blessing. And this philosophy is amazing. And so I wanted to touch on it one time. It ties into my philosophy. It isn't my philosophy. My philosophy is free will. I have the free will to do, be, create whatever I want or destroy. There's consequences and reactions for everything that I do, for everything that I say, but I'm allowed to feel however I'd like as long as I understand that there's social constructs that I need to adjust my way of thinking to, which has never been hard for me. I'm not out to destroy nothing, so I don't care, you know. But this idea of Jesus Christ, now you heard my spiel on it. Now maybe it makes more sense as to why in the previous videos you heard me talk a lot of shit. A lot of shit. That's because after the Bible was written and the Crusades started, well, your boy went ahead and had to study the Crusades, which led to weird things. I'm Irish. St. Patty was a cocksucker that went and killed the population of Ireland, make them all Catholic. That's who St. Patty is. The snakes were all the mystics and all the old religion believers and all the gods that were old before the time of Christ. Well, it is what it is. It is what it isn't. Thanks for tuning in. This is a hard one, but I bet at this point you're starting to get used to the weird curves that I throw at you. So thank you for watching.